Today, we're diving into a framework from the mind of AI researcher Ben Goertzel. We're going to map out the journey to what's called artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and even peek at what might lie beyond. It's a path that's paved with some absolutely incredible technology and some even higher stakes. So you see AI systems out there doing things that honestly feel superhuman. I mean, they're solving graduate-level math problems. That's a huge leap, and it really makes you wonder, right? If an AI can do that, haven't we already made it? Is AGI already here? It's a totally fair question, but the answer, well, it's a lot more complicated than just a simple yes or no. And this really gets to the heart of it all. Ben Goertzel is super clear on this point. Despite all the hype you might hear, we have not reached human-level AGI. Not yet. What we're seeing are these amazing, flashy displays of what he calls crass observable functionality, but what's actually happening under the hood, that's a whole different story. So let's dig into that difference. Okay, so to really understand where we're going, we first have to get a crystal clear picture of the AI we have right now. And don't get me wrong, it's incredibly powerful. It's already changing the world. But it has one fundamental, massive limitation. I mean, just think about it for a second. You can get a cover letter written in an instant. Artists have these powerful new partners to create with. And tasks that used to require years of deep expertise, like super advanced math, are starting to become automated. These systems are unbelievably useful, and yeah, they could probably automate a huge number of jobs. But, and this is a big but, just completing a task isn't the same thing as genuine understanding. And that brings us to a really crucial distinction we have to make. Today's AI has what we'd call broad intelligence. It's been trained on basically the entire internet, so its knowledge is incredibly wide. But true AGI, that requires general intelligence. That's the ability to generalize, to create something new, to actually move beyond the patterns that it saw in its training data. And this analogy just makes it so clear. Imagine you trained an AI on all the music ever created before the year 1900. It could probably compose some breathtaking classical pieces, perfect copies of the past. But could it invent Duke Ellington? Could it create heavy metal? No way. Absolutely not. Because those weren't just new patterns. They were creative explosions, a radical leap beyond everything that came before. And that leap, that's the very essence of what today's AI is missing. So, if just getting really good at matching patterns isn't the final goal, then what is? Well, Goertzel argues that what we really need to be aiming for is something he calls open-ended intelligence. So here's the key idea. An open-ended intelligence is always in this state of productive tension. On one hand, it's trying to maintain its own stability, to stay who it is. But at the exact same time, it has this built-in drive to grow, to transcend what it currently is. You know, that's pretty much the same dynamic that's pushed human culture and progress forward for centuries. It's a constant dance between preservation and innovation. Believing that just making our current AI models bigger and bigger won't get us there, Goertzel and his team are actually taking a totally different path, a different architectural philosophy for building true AGI. So instead of just building a bigger version of the same hammer, the Hyperon approach is like using a whole toolkit of different kinds of minds. It combines the powerful pattern matching of today's deep neural nets with systems that understand explicit logical reasoning. Think of it like the difference between your gut intuition and a rigorous step-by-step deduction. And then it throws evolutionary algorithms into the mix, which can generate and test completely new ideas. It's almost like a form of digital creativity through trial and error. It's not one giant model. It's a diverse, collaborative ecosystem of different kinds of intelligence, all working together. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the tech, but now let's talk about the impact on all of us, on society. To try and understand the different futures that might be coming, Goertzel and his team actually use an economic simulation to model the various paths we could take to the singularity. Now, this simulation isn't about predicting a specific date on a calendar. It's about understanding the dynamics at play. It models different potential futures, everything from universal basic income for all to extreme wealth concentration in the hands of a few. And then it explores how we might get to one of those futures depending on how fast AGI develops and, critically, who controls it. And this leads us to the one central question the whole simulation was built to answer. Let's say we find ourselves on a path headed towards a pretty dystopian future, a world where only a tiny group of people benefit from AGI. What's the most effective thing we can do to change course and steer ourselves toward a better outcome for everyone? And the answer that came out of his model was fascinating.
and maybe even a little bit counterintuitive. The simulation found that starting something like universal basic income early on, while it might be ethically valuable, was actually far less effective at changing the long-term outcome than building the right kind of infrastructure was. So the crucial point is this: building the rails, so to speak, that allow new technologies to be spread widely and accessed by everyone. That is the single most important investment we can make. It's all about creating the systems for distribution before the massive value gets created and locked down by a few. But of course, getting everyone to cooperate on building that kind of long-term infrastructure, that brings up a whole other challenge. It's a game theory puzzle that Goertzel calls the damn hard problem. Think about building a massive dam. It's a huge amount of work, and it provides zero value, not a single watt of electricity, until the day it's completely finished. If anyone gives up halfway through, all that effort is just wasted. It's a classic damn hard problem. Well, building a beneficial AGI future is the ultimate version of this. The payoff is immense, but it demands sustained long-term cooperation with very, very few immediate rewards along the way. And solving a problem like that requires a real shift in mindset. If every country or every company is just optimizing for its next quarterly return, cooperation is going to fail. It's just not going to happen. Success requires what he calls whole journey thinking, where everyone involved makes decisions based on the best path to that final shared goal. Only then does cooperation become rational. So what's the big takeaway here? The prescription is actually pretty clear. We need to build open, decentralized infrastructure, those rails we talked about, that can support a whole variety of AGI approaches, not just a single one. This, by its very nature, helps reduce the risk of massive wealth concentration and makes the development of AGI a global community effort. Ultimately, what we're left with is a profound choice. As this technology races towards us, its arrival feels kind of inevitable. The question is no longer if it will be built, but how. Are we building a bridge to this new future that everyone can cross? Or are we just building a private fast lane for the lucky few who get there first?